Liam McDonald started his acting career in middle school, and in the past few years decided to return to his roots with a full-time pursuit of voice acting. Today, Liam and I are talking about the value of emotional depth, voice acting on a budget, and not taking rejection personally. I hope you enjoy our conversation. Who are you and how did you get involved in voice acting?
My name is Liam McDonald. I'm a voice actor. I've been an actor since I was roughly in middle school. I started in sixth grade, so I want to say I was about 11, 12 years old. And I started voice acting a little over 2.5, almost 3 years now. But I'm very excited to be here. I'm happy to be here with Tessa. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And I'm happy to talk to you guys, give you a little inside scoop into what's going on in my day to day life as an actor.
What was some of the first things that you did to actually get started with voice acting?
It all started as soon as I was introduced to my first video game console. I've heard voice actors Charles Martinet, Ryan Drummond, the voice of Sonic and Mario, Jason Griffith, Roger Craig Smith, all of those voice acting titans that voiced my childhood heroes. And I have just always wanted to do what they do. But my love of acting started when I saw my brother in our middle school play, and my love of theater was just found there.
Mm.
And I decided that this is what I wanted to do. I had some hiccups and hurdles along the way in my personal life that I had to get through, but theater was always there when I needed it. And I decided to go back to my roots and picked up what made me me.
Tell me about some of the stage acting experience. Was it musicals, plays?
Sixth through eighth grade, they were all, like low budget kind of productions. Susical with my sixth grade show. Eighth grade was the Bye Bye Birdie musical. And then throughout high school, I was in the musicals, just, a few ensembles, backup singing roles in Anything Goes, Rodgers and Hammerstein, Cinderella. And then I also did some acting. I was involved with our high school Shakespeare troupe, so that allowed me to dig deeper into the Shakespearean side of things, get my feet wet with that, and I had so much fun. Just one thing after another, getting involved with as much as I can whenever I could. So that's what really helped me get started.
Do you feel like it's transferred for you, stage acting to voice acting, or has it been a big shift? What differences, similarities have you noticed?
It felt like a pretty large shift, and I'll kind of go into what I mean. So with voice acting, you're in a booth. You are left with your devices, and it can be pretty isolating. As I've just explained my experience and how it's been for me as with my transition into voice acting. But with stage acting, you are in this big, wide open space. Again, you're either by yourself, you're in front of an audience, you're in front of your directors, and it feels broader. You have access to this open air, like this freedom of open space that you can play with. And with voice acting, when you're in a booth, you feel physically restricted. So that was like the biggest jarring experience that I've had. But it's very easy to maintain as long as you're in it, you feel it, and you are physically sound with your environment. It's really the same thing, just a different space.
What does your current setup look like where you record?
My current setup, I'm working with a portable recording booth. It is very simple. It's also extremely budget friendly, and I was very surprised at that. But I'm working with a Shure MV7X XLR microphone. I'm working with a Scarlett Solo audio interface. I have Ableton 12 Lite as my trusty recording software, and it's done everything that I needed it to do.
What kind of projects are you currently involved in or have been able to be involved in?
I had just recently wrapped up a audio fiction series called Pantheon Academy. You can listen to the full series on Spotify right now. I am also the voice of Alvaro Torres in the latest webcomic series, Neon Chronicles Origins of Yggdrasil. And I'm very happy, and our team is very excited to announce that we are shifting into a full scale development of a video game. So expect news on that over the next couple of years. It is so wonderful, and the people there are just so incredible, so just so welcoming, so warming. I mean, I remember when I first heard about Neon Chronicles, it was through a friend that I know. We were talking about the project and I sparked interest immediately. I'm like, I saw it, like the art scale, the production value, everything that was going into it, the hard work from the team. She's one of the voice actors as well. I just asked her, I would like to be in this. Can you get me in contact with the director? And she did. I mean, she loves my stuff. She loves what I do, so she got me in contact with him right away, and he had me send in an audition, and that audition process was very anxiety inducing because I didn't have anything yet. I didn't have my booth, I didn't have my microphone, my interface, I didn't have anything. Everything came like 2 days before I sent in my audition, and like that following Monday was when everything was due. So, under not a lot of time did I have to put all of this together. The friend who's the voice actor, we went through just a bunch of audio from scenes where I really just gave him a little bit of everything. So I essentially said, "Hey, you can put me anywhere. I just want to be in this." And I think it was that Thursday of that upcoming week where I got the message while I was in work. And he said, "Hey, I would love to offer you uh, a role in my project. Would you like to voice Alvaro?" And I didn't hesitate. I said yes, hands down, no question. I'm like, yes, I want to be in this. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And he's also wonderful. The director, I've gotten to know him very well. So any time that I get to talk about Neon Chronicles, I'm always like, oh, me, please. Neon Chronicles takes place in this gorgeous world, this beautiful land of Lexia. There are these people known as wayfarers that have these really interesting abilities. And Alvaro, my character, he's the scientific guru. So he's always, helping out the wayfarers, with like crazy gadgets that they can use along their journey. But before I say any more and dig deep into spoiler territory, you can read the webcomic for yourself on Webtoons.
What kind of characters are you most interested in playing? What characters do you feel like come most naturally to you?
Strong characters with emotional depth. I mean, and you can really say that about any character. It all depends on how they're written and how you portray them. I've found that a lot of characters that come easier to me are characters with a lot of emotional value that have like high stakes in a story. Characters like Clive Rossfield from the latest Final Fantasy entry, Cloud Strife, also from Final Fantasy, a bunch of other characters, Astarion from Baldur's Gate 3, Urso, and Gustav from last year's Game of the Year winner, Expedition 33. So, characters like that have strong stakes in the story are characters that I just gravitate towards. I love a story that's so rich that engages you with storytelling like that. It's hard to turn down a character. So if I were given an opportunity like that, it would certainly be with characters like those.
What do you think is important to know about what maybe makes voice acting for video games different, or what intrigues you about that as someone who has had a passion for a little bit for that, for the gaming and stuff? Yeah.
I've always been a heavy gamer. And it's not only video games. I just ingest any kind of media, movies, TV. But I've also gravitated, just always have gravitated towards video games. It's just kind of been a home, like a comfort with all of this story that I can just ingest and go back and replay over and over and over again. It feels different because this is something that I gravitate towards more. It's something that I could say, "Hey, let me do this." TV and anime and film, that's wonderful. I would love to do that, but my home has always been with video games. I've always wanted to be the voice of somebody's childhood, and all it takes is for somebody to come up to me and said, "Hey, I heard your voice in a video game that I played growing up, and it made me really happy."
Mm.
So all it takes is just those words where, it doesn't even matter how much recognition I get. I really don't do this for the money. I don't do this for the awards. I do it so I can make somebody's day better. And if I can do that through a video game, then I'm going to do it and not think twice.
Do you work full time as well as doing the voice acting stuff on the side? What does the rest of your life, hobbies, things like that look like?
As of now, I'm doing this as full time as possible. I have started to coach people here and there on their voice acting journeys. There was one individual that I am so proud to have worked with him on his submission for an acting agency, and he was invited into the agency. And I remember getting the message, "Thank you so much. Like you helped me with my submission." And I said to him, I'm like, "Listen, my friend, you did the work. You have the talent. You did everything. You could have taken my words and said, 'No, I don't really need to listen to you.'" And but he invited it in. He invited in the feedback. I said, I loved what you did with your take. I loved A, B, and C, but let's see if we can tune it up to give it more emotional depth to widen your range, because that's what a lot of people are going to be looking for. It's range with emotional depth. And when you watch animes and TV shows and you play video games and you listen to these characters with like low speaking voices, there's not really a lot of emotional variety with these roles. It's taking those roles and still being able to bring them to life. And that's essentially what we went over. And it just made his audition so much better, in my opinion. I mean, again, he's such an incredibly talented person, and I wish him all the best. So being able to do something like this on the side is in of its own reward, and you really can't put a price on that.
How would somebody be able to get to that place where instead of making it a hobby, they can actually earn money from it, expand so their resume gets them more auditions? What does that look like in your mind?
My goal is to do something for my career at least every day. I do at least one thing for my career every day, whether that be editing a tape, sending in an audition, looking at casting calls, which stays into sources that I go to, and I found plenty of things on Twitter, on Reddit, on Casting Call Club. They're all free. You don't have to pay for anything. And I mentioned that I had a budget friendly setup. Budget friendly is really that the route that I like to take. But having those free sources over pay to plays has just gotten me more work. It's gotten consistent outlets, at least just like conversations with people and getting to know them, their input, their outlook on the voice acting community, just being able to keep striving and keep dreaming and keep pursuing, because eventually what's going to happen is as you dig deeper into this career, you're going to have to promote yourself. Don't be afraid to reach out to people. Don't be afraid to cold email. And it's very hit or miss. It's never guaranteed. Just stay persistent with it. Stay persistent with your career. Stay persistent with what you want to do, and do something for your career every day. That's the end goal message that I'm trying to drive home.
What are some ways somebody could, with a lower budget, who might not be able to afford like expensive classes or private coaching, be able to expand and grow the craft, get better at voice acting with minimal resources?
Study every day. Study as much as you can. I'm heavy into TV, movies, video games. I study performances a lot, and there's so much that you can learn outside of coaching, because everything is subjective. Everything that anybody can teach you is subjective. So it's either going to be a good way for you to learn, or it's going to be a way of learning that's not really going to resonate with you. And that's okay, because everybody learns differently. I know I do. Watch anything, read plays, study performances from your favorite actors. I can't tell you how many times I'm watching the same shows on any kind of streaming site, on YouTube, Crunchyroll's a heavy one for animes, and I just listen. And, I'll watch like the subtitles with just the original dialect, and I'll just listen to their emotional capacity, and that just skyrockets my understanding of how much goes into their work, and it lets me level up my own.
I want to talk about auditions, and a lot of people have brought up the fact, and I think it's becoming more well known, that when you audition for something or when you're working on a project, the director and whoever's helping with casting, all the people that are part of that side of things, are listening for something specific. You could hear two really good auditions that are on equal footing in terms of like technicality, audio quality, things like that, but they're still going to choose one over the other. People who are who are thinking, well, I'm just not good enough. It's because nobody likes my voice, or I just keep getting turned down a lot. What would you say to them? How do you encourage those kind of people?
It is nothing personal. You don't know them before the audition. They don't know you before the audition. It is nothing personal. More often than not, it's not you. It is just them and what they want, and it is just a matter of that other person being the better fit. It says nothing about your acting ability. It is just, unfortunately, it's just business. And I hate that I have to say that because you seem to hear that a lot, even outside of acting, outside of this industry. Um, don't let a rejection discourage you, because there's people that are going to listen to you and they're not going to like you. You're not going to impress everybody. And that's something that you need to be able to sit with. That's something that, you know, you're going to have to understand pretty early in your career, and it's hard. It Trust me. As soon as you understand that it's not you and that it is just business, it lets you keep doing what you want to do. And sooner rather than later, you're going to have somebody reaching out to you saying, "Hey, I saw this," say it's on like casting call. "Hey, I listened to your audition. I really enjoyed it. And I would like you for this project. I have a character in mind for you that I want you to voice if you're interested." It will happen. It will happen. It may not happen now, it may not happen soon, but it'll happen. I hear this happening from people that I've just talked to in the past, friends that I know now, where I'll say audition for everything. Even if you don't think you're right for the role, even if you don't think like, "Oh, I don't have the voice for it," and you get discouraged, as you said, people that get discouraged, they think like, "Oh, I don't have a good enough voice." It's not about having a good voice. I would rather have a unique voice than have a good voice, because a unique voice is something that casting directors can work with. And having a good voice will get you somewhere, but it's your acting that will get you further. I'll say it like this: your voice gets you in the door, your acting gets you in the room with the director. That's what they're going to look at. It's voice acting, not voice acting. Lowercase v, capital A. So if you feel discouraged about you not having a good voice, it's okay. Because to you, you may not. Because to other people, you may. You may have a great voice and they may be willing to pay you for it.
What else would you like to add? Other advice, anything you want to talk about?
Do it because you love it. Be an actor because you love it. Be a voice actor because you love it. I had the opportunity of meeting my childhood hero, Charles Martinet, who's the voice of Mario, at Too Many Games last year. And I remember just telling him that I wanted to be a voice actor. And, without a second thought, he said, "That is wonderful. It is the best. It's the best thing ever. Do it because you love it." And it's resonated with me. The coal in the fireplace was starting to run a little cold, and it just lit a match and just reminded me of why I do it. Not only Charles Martinet, but Ray Chase, who's the voice of Noctis in Final Fantasy 15. I had the opportunity of meeting him as well. I just told him about my aspirations of being a voice actor, and he talked to me about it. He talked a little bit about the industry, what it was like to actually record for the character. It felt surreal. It felt incredible because I know that they had to start somewhere. Don't let anybody tell you what you can and can't do. Don't let anybody try to discourage you from doing it. Don't let them say, "Oh, you haven't been booking as much. Where's like the progress? Like, are you working on anything?" Don't let them get to you. It's easy to let them get to you, especially when you don't have any roles, when you're not booking as much. Um, but if it tells you anything, I haven't been booking as much, as of like the last couple of weeks, but that's okay because I keep sending it auditions. I keep doing it day in and day out because I love it. And if you love it, if you love what you do, that's all you really need to keep yourself going.
Love that. And thank you so much for the interview today. It was a pleasure talking to you
Thank
again.
you so much, Tessa. It was wonderful. I hope I was able to give your listeners a little bit of an inside scoop into my life and give them some motivation to keep going in their everyday life as they move forward through this career because it's a big one, it's intense, it's grueling, but the reward is so sweet.